Ever thought about how a simple school pond could hold the key to something bigger? Well, today we're headed to a school in Thailand where a group of really determined students put that exact idea to the test.
You know, their entire project really boiled down to one huge question. Could this ordinary pond be turned into a successful, thriving fish farm? And the answer? Well, you weren't going to find that in any textbook. It was hiding right there in the water itself.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off at Sumdit Pit Yakakom School in Kalasin Province, Thailand, where a local pond was about to get a very serious scientific checkup.
At the heart of it all is Wari Pond. It's a public reservoir, holds around 40,000 cubic meters of water. And this map, get this, it wasn't made by some professional. It was meticulously hand-drawn by the students themselves to plan out their entire investigation. How cool is that?
Now, the stakes were pretty high here. The school had tried a rice-growing project in the area before, and, well, it didn't go so hot. They ended up with way less rice than they'd hoped for. That setback made one thing crystal clear. Any future project had to be backed by solid data, not just wishful thinking.
So, the school came up with a new goal for 2024. Let's create a fish farm. It'll be an amazing hands-on learning resource for all their agricultural courses. But, and this is a big but, for that to work, they had to be absolutely positive that the water was safe and healthy enough for fish to actually survive and thrive.
And that, right there, is where our heroes come in. This wasn't a job they outsourced to experts. It was a mission for the students themselves.
So, who exactly were these researchers? Not university professors, not professional scientists, but a super dedicated team of junior high school students. But don't let their age fool you. They approached this whole challenge with the seriousness and organization of total pros.
Their mission was clear and totally scientific. They decided to use the GLOBE protocol, which is a big deal. It's an internationally recognized system for environmental measurement, to do a full-scale analysis of the water quality. The whole point was to find out, once and for all, if Wari Pond was good to go for raising fish.
So how'd they do it? Well, they embarked on a 6-week mission that was all about consistency. We're talking every single Saturday for 6 weeks straight. They were out there at the pond collecting data. That is some serious dedication.
And they weren't just winging it. They followed a really strict, systematic approach, measuring 8 key things about the water. This was a deep dive, a full-on investigation into the pond's chemistry and physical makeup. Let's break down 3 of the most critical tests they ran.
First up, dissolved oxygen, or DO. The easiest way to think about this is it's basically the air that fish breathe, just in the water. Without enough of it, aquatic life just can't survive. Simple as that. A high DO level is a huge green flag for a healthy pond.
Next up is the pH level. This just tells us how acidic or alkaline the water is. And, just like us, fish need their environment to be balanced. If the water's too acidic or too alkaline, it can be super stressful for them, and in some cases, even fatal.
And finally, nitrate content. Now this one is a massive indicator of pollution. If you see high nitrate levels, it's usually from stuff like fertilizer runoff or wastewater. That stuff is toxic to fish and can cause those really nasty algae blooms, so a low nitrate level is a fantastic sign of clean water.
So, after 6 long weeks of all this rigorous testing, what did they find? What secrets was Wari Pond hiding under the surface?
The results were just stunningly clear. Their measurements lined up almost perfectly with what's considered ideal for raising fish. The temperature, the pH, the alkalinity, everything was right in that sweet spot.
Let's just take their average for dissolved oxygen, 8.12 milligrams per liter. Now, fish need a bare minimum of 5 to really thrive. So, yeah, this was way above that. Basically, the water was loaded with oxygen.
And then you've got the nitrate level, right? The pollution indicator. They measured a measly 0.02 parts per million. That is incredibly low, way below the safety limit of 0.5. This was the smoking gun, the definitive proof that the pond was clean and free from any major pollution.
So what's the bottom line? After all that hard work, how did all this data come together to answer that one big question?
Honestly, their own conclusion, straight from their research paper, just says it all. They found that the pond had no significant pollution and was highly suitable for fish breeding. Not just okay, not just acceptable, highly suitable. They had their answer, and it was backed by weeks of hard work and real science.
It's just a perfect example of the scientific method in action. They started with a hypothesis.
that the water was good enough for fish, and through their careful investigation, they proved it. The fish farm could actually become a reality.
But the impact here is so much bigger than just one project. These students literally turned a simple pond into a living classroom, a sustainable resource that's going to help their school and their community for years and years to come.
And that really is the biggest takeaway. For this team of young investigators, science wasn't just about memorizing facts for a test. It was a real tool, something they could use to solve a real-world problem and build a better future. It really makes you wonder, what problems are just sitting in our own backyards, waiting for somebody to get curious enough to start asking the right questions?